Red Bull has recently dropped a bombshell on McLaren, saying they have discovered further evidence of their cheating. This will undoubtedly shape the rest of the season for the Papaya squad. But how much? And what does this signify for the other teams? Especially Red Bull. After Suzuka, it's evident that if we've learnt anything from the first few races of the 2025 Formula One season, it's that Max Verstappen should never be underestimated. And that's even without regulatory assistance. Just a few weeks ago, there was speculation in the paddock that McLaren had the fastest car and perhaps a clear opportunity at ending Red Bull's domination. What about now? The story is changing. Fast. Verstappen is back in the winner's circle, Red Bull has regained momentum, and McLaren's once enormous lead appears to be shakier than ever. So what exactly happened in Suzuka? Why does Red Bull think McLaren might be in trouble? And how is Verstappen once again shaping the championship with nothing but his class and a little setup magic? And what could they have found on McLaren's car that will make it break down in the coming races? Let us break it down. It's astonishing how quickly the tone changes in Formula One. McLaren held the lead just a few weeks ago. They had the fastest car, 2 confident young drivers, and a consistent focus on growth. In contrast, what about Red Bull? They appeared unsteady. Max Verstappen was dealing with setup issues, their simulator work was inconsistent, and the champions appeared vulnerable for the first time in many years. Then came Suzuka. Suddenly, Red Bull is smiling again. Verstappen staged a comeback that may be one of the year's turning points, and with important upgrades on the way, McLaren's early lead is beginning to feel vulnerable. What exactly changed the momentum? How important will the future flexi-wing regulations be? And can McLaren maintain their composure under pressure? Let's look at the entire story and where this title race could go next. To understand how crucial Max Verstappen's Japanese Grand Prix victory was for Red Bull, consider where they were a couple of days ago. The RB21 was not to be seen during Friday practice. Verstappen described the balance as unpredictable. One instant understeer, then snap oversteer. It was a car that, in his words, gave a new surprise around every corner. Even Red Bull's leadership was frustrated. Helmut Marko openly faulted the simulator work for misled them yet again. This is not the first time it has happened. Whenever the simulator promises us great lap times, things go backwards on the racetrack, Marko said. He even advised Max to reject the data and follow his instincts. In FP3, the team scrambled to shift course, tweaking almost every aspect of the car. And somehow, it worked. Verstappen did more than just recover the weekend. He secured pole position and cruised to win. This was more than just a lucky break. Suzuka rewarded Red Bull for their effort. However, Max Verstappen covered the rest. It's becoming a pattern. Red Bull starts the weekend losing, but Verstappen brings them back into contention. According to technical director Pierre Wachet, that's because the RB21 only works in a very narrow setup window. The car's balance is constantly changing. It takes too long to fix it. Luckily, we have Max. The truth is that the RB21 is a diva. It only works when everything is exactly right, and that time frame tends to alter with each racing weekend. On Friday, one bad setup direction, and you'll be facing a P6 grid slot. That's why Verstappen wants the team to broaden its operational time. He wants predictability, and if Red Bull can give that, he's confident he can handle the rest. What if they don't? Even Max has limited capabilities. While Red Bull is regaining form, they are also secretly betting on the FIA. The team feels that forthcoming regulatory changes could have a significant impact on McLaren's performance. China has already implemented the first wave of flexi-wing clampdowns, which focus on rear-wing flexibility. The next wave arrives in Spain, round 9, focusing on front wings with harsher deformation tests. McLaren denied any advantage from FlexiTech earlier this season, but paddock murmurs continue. Red Bull believes McLaren's MCL39 benefits more from aerodynamic elasticity than competitors. So even a minor regulation change, removing 5 mm of permissible wing flex, could lose them a tenth or two every lap. And it could be all Verstappen needs. Christian Horner summed it up. Don't underestimate the regulation change of race 9. The first 4 teams are super tight, and as you well know, there's no better tonic than a win. Translation: Red Bull is playing the long game. Here is where McLaren's pressure begins to increase. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri have perhaps the best cars on the grid. They have had it for at least the past races. But Verstappen is only 1 point behind Norris in the standings. How? Simple. McLaren has not capitalized. McLaren has left the door open in terms of strategy choices, such as following Max into the pits at Suzuka rather than undercutting, and failing to cover both cars during qualifying. And Verstappen does not require a second invitation. Andrea Stella is also aware of the situation. After Suzuka, he admitted they didn't extract the maximum. You can't deliver a masterful performance like Max's in Suzuka for 24 races. That is a subtle acknowledgement. McLaren cannot continue to rely on Red Bull's failure to deliver. So, what happens if Red Bull delivers significant performance gains in Imola? McLaren is concerned, but Red Bull fans are optimistic. According to Helmut Marko, the factory has confidence. The wind tunnel data seemed promising. The crew is developing upgrades for the triple header, which begins with Imola. Red Bull also has a luxury that most others lack: clarity. While Mercedes and McLaren will eventually have to decide whether to build for 2025 or 2026, Red Bull is going all in this season. They understand that 2026, with new power units and Red Bull powertrains ramping up, will be a transitional year. They're realistic. They may not win that one. So 2025, it is the hill they are willing to die on. But let's not overlook the other half of Red Bull's garage. Yuki Tsunoda was promoted to second place following Liam Lawson's 2-race stint and immediately demonstrated promising speed. He did not score any points in Suzuka, but this was due to track position rather than raw speed. Christian Horner was impressed by Tsunoda's criticism and technical expertise. It matters. If Tsunoda can start scoring consistently, Red Bull will gain strategic freedom. They'll need it when the margins are this slim. With Bahrain and Jeddah coming up, 2 more overtaking-friendly tracks, there is hope that Tsunoda can deliver. If he does, Red Bull's whole package will become much stronger. All of this puts McLaren in a tough place. They began the season with the best car. Their in-season growth has been rapid. However, if Red Bull prepares to level the playing field and the FIA removes some of the flexi-wing magic, the points lead might evaporate quickly. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri need to make the next few races count. McLaren's key strength has been consistency. However, it cannot replace the killer instinct. If they want to beat Verstappen, they will have to be flawless. Every call, every lap, and every upgrade, the Dutchman is on his way. He's bringing Red Bull with him. Formula One in 2025 is shaping up to be one of those rare, spectacular seasons in which nothing is assured. McLaren has the car, Red Bull has the driver. They're slowly bridging the performance difference. With Bahrain and Jeddah ahead, followed quickly by Imola and Spain, with new regulations and enhancements on the way, everything is about to get real from the 9th race onwards. Will Red Bull's improvements provide the consistency Verstappen requires? Can McLaren get the points they deserve before the FIA slows them down? Will flexi-wing rules swing the balance in a few races? And, perhaps most importantly, how long can Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri fend off the grid's most relentless driver? Whatever happens, this title match is still alive. And the best part? We've only just begun.